I think there is this beauty about this process where you go through the journey, whether you get to your end goal or not. It helps us grow as human beings. And in the journey is where the fun is. You experience so many things. Think of it, you're going from here to Timbuktu. Yes, you're excited to get to Timbuktu, but there is a lot happening in this journey right here in the middle. And you may meet people, you may see things, you may experience things that you never thought you will ever experience.
Hello, dear listeners. It's that time again when we stroll through the paths of ambition, desire, and success. Welcome to the Dare to Declare podcast, where we explore the enchanting world of giant manifestors who turn their visions and goals into the stuff of legends. I couldn't help but wonder, how do some people create the lives they've always dreamed of? Is it the magic of manifesting, the power of perseverance, or perhaps just a dash of serendipity? Well, dear friends, grab your coffee cups because we're about to spill the tea on fascinating journeys of those who dare to dream big and make it happen. Join me as we sip on success stories and ponder the ever-enticing question, can we all manifest our dreams into reality, or is it just an urban fairy tale? I'm your host, Debbi Sluys, and I'm here to guide you through the labyrinth of achievement with heart and soul. Ready to dare to declare? Let's get started.
Hello, everyone. Again, I'm so excited to have you here and to meet today's guest. So Ravi Prakash is a global keynote and TEDx speaker. He's an author, poet, founding team member at Company Insights AI, and transformational strategist whose life's journey spans continents, hardships, and reinvention. He was born into a family of revolutionaries in India. Ravi's path has shaped by early adversity, a relentless drive to prove his worth, and the pursuit of something greater. He came to the United States with just $20 in his pocket and $2,000 borrowed, driven by a single conversation with a relative who told him he wouldn't make it. He proved them wrong. Today, Ravi is a sought-after voice in leadership, resilience, and human transformation. Over the past 2 decades, he's led projects and programs like on multi-million to multi-billion-dollar initiatives. He's coached senior executives, guided global teams across industries while building cultures rooted in inclusion and authenticity. Ravi is the author of Safar, I'm mispronouncing that, An Immigrant's Journey of Life and Leadership, a powerful narrative of struggle, perseverance, and becoming. And his second book, Echoes of Me, a poetic reflection on soul, identity, and hope, is forthcoming. Welcome, Ravi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Debbie. I'm very excited.
Me too. Let's start with our shared birthday. When we had a conversation earlier, you told me that you discovered that your birthday is the same as my birthday, although you are a little bit older. We won't say how much than me. And then I said, how did you find that out? And you said, well, I was listening to your recording, your podcast with Jack Canfield, and I mentioned April 22nd on that recording. So then we said, hey, it's Earth Day. And then you shared something with me. Would you share that with the audience, please?
Yes. So I think it's a coincidence that's hard to define or say why this is. But it just so happens the world celebrates Earth Day on April 22nd. That is our shared birthday. And in my life, I feel like I am very much, nature just is so inspiring to me. Every time I'm in the nature, I walk in the nature, I run in the nature, or I am anywhere near anything that's natural, it does something to my heart and soul that is hard to describe. And so it seems like whether it's my name, whether it's my birthday, whether it's my feelings and emotions, they're all so tied to nature. And it's just a coincidence, that's a natural coincidence that's hard to describe. And I'm grateful to whoever came up with Earth Day on 22nd.
Me too.
Don't change it.
For sure. And I think because I don't remember that it was always that way. I remember all of a sudden it came up. And so your parents would not have known that. And yet, can you tell us the meaning of your first and last name?
Yes, my first name Ravi means sun in Hindi, and then Prakash means light. And this was a name given to be my grandpa. So That's the name. We have a family name of Singh, which I've never used. The story is that when we went to the high school for admission in my first grade, the headmaster asked, "What's your name?" And I said, "Ravi Prakash." And my dad said, "Ravi Prakash Singh." And I said, "No, it's Ravi Prakash." And from that day on, my name has been Ravi Prakash.
Wow.
And
I want to talk more about your parents because they've really had an influence in your life at an early age. And this is another story that you're sharing right now around how your parents honored your decision at such a young age.
yes, it's funny that I think innately, and I cannot tell it in a very sophisticated way, but innately, even when I was a very young person, very kid, I had this sense that people are not good to each other many times. We discriminate against each other. And from whatever little I knew as a first grader in school, and India is a very diverse country, I could feel that people discriminate against each other based on last name. And that was my intent, because that is when also India Pakistan fought their war, and our school was closed for about whatever a month or so. And I remember the day we were going back to school. We were in a border town, so a lot of the soldiers were coming back from the field, and it was several hours of cars and trucks and tanks coming back, and there was a tremendous amount of injuries among the soldiers. And I remember saying, and I wrote that in my book, is to why do we do this to each other as human being? And I was in first grade at the time, but that was the thought that came to my mind: why do we do this to each other? And so that's the story that my life started with.
Yeah. So many of us, have described our purpose as being rooted in a situation like that. Would you say that really helped define your purpose for where you are and where you're going now?
So I don't know if I spend too much time thinking about purpose. I really don't,
Hmm.
because I feel like life is dynamic, and purpose becomes a noun, so to speak. It's not a verb in my mind. Okay, this is my purpose, and what if my situation changes and I need to change something? So I think for me, it's taking action, whatever is I'm facing or people are facing in my circle of influence, and literally take the action and do what needs to be done. Purpose will, it's like when you are done, people will define whatever your purpose was. But for me, I don't spend too much time on purpose, but I do think about the impact. I think about, okay, what I do, is it reflective of who I am at core, at the very core of Ravi? Is it aligned with my thing? Am I doing something that maybe is not aligned with me just because it gets me something in the short run, versus but it will come to bother me for the rest of my life? And I think I'll give you a specific example. Back in 11th grade, I think I was at a hospital in New Delhi, and there was this poor guy on the floor asking for 1 rupee. Now, I had only 1 rupee in my pocket, and that was the money I needed to take the bus to go back home. And that day, I didn't give him that 1 rupee. And I went back. I could have walked back home, could have taken me a couple of hours, but that has bothered me to this date, because that did not reflect who I am, but that's how I acted. I did not give him that 1 rupee. It wouldn't have changed my life. And I don't know if it would have changed his life, but at that moment, that was more important to him than it was to me. And so that is a barometer for me many times. Again, not trying to be perfect all the time, but that's a barometer in the back of my head. When I am not doing something, takes me back to that moment to say, wow, you failed yourself, so you cannot say anything else. You can't be hypocritical to say, okay, well, you should do this, and then you don't do it. So that's how I don't think too much about things. I just live the life and let the life take us. Your heart knows, as Rumi says, go where the heart takes you. The heart knows. So just
Mm-hmm.
listen to your heart.
Mm-hmm. And, listening to you, I really love this perspective of maybe thinking of purpose as a noun, not a verb, and that maybe it boxes you in, whereas you're saying allow your values and your beliefs to be living and breathing, and to inform your actions. And you and I met while you were in full on action at a TED Talk. So I was recently in Florida, and I just heard about this TED Talk and made the decision, and I got to sit in the audience. And so you and I are just new acquaintances, and then I got to hear your talk. So can you share a bit about what that took to make the decision to do a TED Talk, and then to prepare for it, and then to get on stage and deliver it in such a powerful way? And you were the last speaker.
Yeah.
I had to think about that too. Like, I think it's challenging to be the first, but it's also very challenging to be the last. So can you share a bit about that experience?
Yeah, so it's been a fantastic, and all those people who are going to be listening, I think it's important to think about this. Doesn't matter if it is TED Talk or something else you want to do, but really, the commitment is important. To commit to something that you want to do. So in my bathroom, I have 3 stickers. One of them had a date that I will be on a TED stage by August 15, 2024. And I saw it every single day. It didn't happen on that day. It happened literally in a year after that. But it took 2 years of consistent effort to apply to 225 stages worldwide, of which 224 rejections and then one acceptance. And then in that, the other sticker is you have to visualize what you want in life. And you also have to think of it's happening already and you're feeling. So those are the 3 stickers on my bathroom mirror that I see every single day. And I just did not think, there are people I knew that they got onto a TED stage and the very first time they applied or the first 10 times. I just kept on applying because I knew I have a message. That doesn't mean I have the wisdom of the world and I know everything, but I knew that the story that I want to tell can change somebody else's life, can impact someone. And at the end of the day, that's all life is about as human being, is our stories connect us. And that story takes us from one person to the other. So it's not like one, it's our collective knowledge. As in Africa, they say, I am because you are.
Mm.
That is one of my most favorite quotes. I've quoted it a billion times, I think. I am because you are. Just think about it. None of us are self made. And as much as we want to think in our individualistic society that we are all it and we did it, I did it, but there's not a single person on this planet who became he or she, whatever they are, just on their own effort. So in this journey, I had help. Obviously my family is always there. I'm doing all this crazy stuff all the time, and they are tolerating that stuff. But then I had this amazing coach that you probably got to see at the TED stage, Tanya Diamond. Tanya is a force to be reckoned with. She is absolutely phenomenal. And my initial talk was about 15 minutes long. And to cut it down to like 7 minutes or so, because on the stage you might take even longer, was quite a process. And I only had a month and a half when I got informed that, okay, you are selected, and the day, November 16th. That was like a month and a half of real prep. So I literally recorded myself every single day, whether I was in a park, walking around, people are looking at me like, who is this crazy guy? Or I was on the beach in Florida. I was walking, doing my entire talk, just like I would do otherwise. And I send those recordings to Tanya. Tanya will comment and suggest. And at the end of the day, I learned a lot from her in terms of being brief, using only the words that needs to be used and not have filler words. But at the end of the day, this is another example in life of, we want quick results, but life works on its own timeline. And there is a great saying I heard in Africa when I worked in Africa. There's a guy on a project said, Ravi, you guys in the West have the watch and we have the time.
Mm.
And that has stuck with me because patience is, there's a guy who said, talent is long patience. So we got to have patience for what we want in life. And I think when we have patience and we have not just within us, but with others in our journey of whatever it is we are trying to do, and we are giving a other person the benefit of the doubt and not jumping to the conclusion. I think there is this beauty about this process where you go through the journey, whether you get to your end goal or not, it helps us grow as human beings. And in the journey is where the fun is. You experience so many things. Think of it, you're going from here to Timbuktu. Yes, you're excited to get to Timbuktu, but there is a lot happening in this journey right here in the middle. And you may meet people, you may see things, you may experience things that you never thought you will ever experience. And that is the beauty of journey. And that's the title of my book, Suffer. Suffer is a Hindi word for journey of life, or life in, travel as in travel.
Beautiful. So the manifestation of your TED Talk and of it being a month and a half and then delivering it so beautifully. Let's also talk about the manifestation of you coming to United States with $20 in your pocket, $2,000. And then also, I think there was a story you shared in your talk about your engagement to your wife too, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you talk about that, those manifestations?
Yeah. So again, I think life always gives you signals. It's up to us whether we pick it up or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's always there. And the simplest example I can give you is when a baby is born, the baby comes with completely finely tuned signals for life. Hey, I don't need to eat anymore. I'm done. I feel hot. I feel cold. All of those signals are there in a baby. But it's the adults who pollute that signal by saying, you got to drink this whole bottle of milk or water. Whereas the body is already sending you signal, I don't need anything more. I'm done. Baby cries when he or she is hungry, things like that. So I think when we learn, however you learn it, nobody sits down and teaches you. But I think my upbringing was very much, and I think this may be also part of the generation, we were not distracted by phone, cell phone, computers, internet. So our entertainment was always with other people, environment that we are in, nature. There was really not much other than that. And for me, I was always a person who was, I think even as a kid, I remember being very active in sports. I always had this thing when, even if you're losing a game, I had this thing inside of me that no, we still have a chance. We still have a chance. Even if I didn't have the skill, I had the desire and the determination to say, I think we can win this game. And so, long story short, in 11th grade, I lost my, one day I came home from school and my right eye, I went completely blind. And I couldn't understand what happened. So we went to see the doctor. I went alone first time. And the doctor said, we have to patch your eyes. And I was so concerned because at the time I was playing cricket at the top place in New Delhi where a lot of India's great played cricket. So I was pretty good cricket player. One of my colleagues who played in my club played for India. So I had very high hopes that I will make it one day. But in India, with 1 billion people, 11 people being selected is not a joke. So you had to have that understanding. But anyway, the only thought that came to my mind was not school. My thought was, okay, I cannot play cricket anymore. So I came home, I told my parents, my dad took me back to the doctor. The doctor explained again. And basically he said, this is 2020, this is zero. You have to pass the good eye for at least a year and hopefully the nerves will start to reactivate and things like that. So basically for the next 1 year, 2 years, my eyes were patched. That means I couldn't read, I couldn't do anything, I couldn't even see you right now that I'm seeing you. And so my sister would read me, and that's how I prepared for my 12th grade board exam. And most people kind of had given up, thinking this guy will not do much in life. And so during the time we were waiting for our 12th grade results, we had a house full of guests and family members. And one of my relative looked at me and my sister and basically said, I don't think so. You guys can do much in life without my help. And he used to work at the Russian embassy in those days, where about 300 to 400 Indian kids will go to Russia to study all kinds of stuff, all expense paid. And my sister wanted to go there to be a doctor. And I had no keen interest of leaving India. India was my place, cricket, and that was my life. So I didn't say anything to him at the day. I didn't argue, didn't fight. I just made a decision. It just got under my skin. From next day, for next month and a half, I think 2 months, I went to every embassy consulate I could find in New Delhi. I didn't care which country it was. I just wanted to know, how do I go somewhere? I'm 17. I don't know any better. I don't
Wow.
speak English enough. And in the process, I was asked to go meet a lady who's the head of US Education Foundation, an old lady, very nice lady. She sat me down in a swing in her house. We talked for 3 hours. She talked about a lot of things, but bottom line, she said, Ravi, if your family doesn't have money, study well in India, apply for graduate school, and then if you get scholarship, that's the only way I see you can go abroad. So I took that message to my heart. I never said that to anybody. I just kept it inside of me. And 4 years later, 30 days after I graduated, I was at Wisconsin. And that was, again, a lot of things happened in these 4 or 5 years, but I never thought about the outcome. I just kept on doing. So I just went to every embassy, got the information. In the 4 years in college, I wrote to hundreds of schools around the world, not just US, all over the world: Philippines, Mexico, US, Brazil, Ireland, UK, Australia. I mean, my dorm room was a library. If you wanted to go anywhere in the world, you come to Ravi's room and I tell you what to do. Um, and that, and we didn't have money in those days. The stamps used to cost so much. So I had a 600 rupees scholarship in school. Literally all of that money would go towards the stamp.
Wow.
And most of them were handwritten letters to schools, because you had to pay someone to type.
Right.
So to save money, I would do. And then you wait 2 months to get the response back, because there was no internet. So you send the mail, you
Right.
get a response.
Right.
So that's the process. And when I went to the embassy to get the visa that day, that was a really amazing moment, because in those days you couldn't do early registration to say I'm coming for an appointment. You just go in the line and wait in the line. So you go there at 3, 4 in the morning, and there's a long line. People of all backgrounds are there. You go in there, and that day there were about 40 students who were there for student visa. And as far as I know, I'm the only one who got visa that day. So I go to the visa officer, and the guy goes, Mr. Prakash, you're 22 years of age. If I give you a visa and you don't come back to India. I just thought for a second, and I said, did you know what you were going to do when you were 22? He said, no. I said, isn't that an unfair question to ask someone? And he smiled and he said, okay, come back at 3 o'clock, get your visa. And that was it. And then I didn't have money to buy the ticket to come to US. I got the visa, but I didn't have ticket money. So I was staying with my best friend from 12th grade. We talked all night. We had not seen each other in 4 years, so we had talked all night. So he knew I didn't have money. So the next day when I got the visa, we were having breakfast, and his brother comes. No, I was going to go for the visa. So his brother comes and gives me a blank check to say, you have done everything in your power, Ravi. You are going to go.
Wow.
I'll still choke up, because they were not rich people. They were normal middle-class family. But he knew me since 11th, 12th grade. His brother and I were best friends. And he never expected the money. I said, but how do I return you the money? He said, I'm not asking for it. And so that's how I got the visa that day, and then when we got to get the ticket, the travel agent said, "We want cash, not check." So his brother came with cash, and we paid cash. So that is manifestation. I
That is,
didn't I didn't use the word, I didn't know the word, but that event where he said you can't do anything 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, to the day I left, all of that was, you do your job, you do your work every day, not expecting what will happen. Even if I would not have come here, life would have continued. And so that is the process. It's not a process, it's just you do your job. You
yeah.
just believe in something, you keep doing while other people are throwing stones at you. You ignore the stone and you keep moving.
Yeah. You do what other people may not be willing to do, which is sacrifice. And, you sacrifice your scholarship for stamps. You sacrificed your maybe party time with other people, like going out and partying, and by writing those letters, you, just put your head down, but you kept on that North Star, on that vision of what could be possible. And you never gave up. And that's persistence. Like when you read Think and Grow Rich, like you followed all the principles.
I think part of it was also, I have to say, and I write this in my book also, the culture we had in our campus. I stayed on very far from my family when I went to college on campus. Our campus had a very different culture than what I saw when I came to US. Out of the 5,000 kids on campus, I would say there were 5 or 10 who were into partying and doing all this stuff. 90% of the people, they were focused. Like if you came to our campus, I would go to bed at 9, wake up at 3 every single day. Not for 4 years, not a single day that was different. And then 3 to 5 I study, 5 to 7 I go for a run, come back, start the school, come back in the evening, play cricket or something else. But it was a very disciplined life. We had an unannounced quiz in every class. So we had trimester system. If you miss the unannounced quiz, 10 points, you lose a grade. And there was never a curve. You lost one, bad luck, bye. And we had 5 points for full attendance. So we never missed class. So those two things made most of, and I remember a lot of my classmates came from really rural background. Their families were very poor. If it didn't rain, they wouldn't eat.
Right.
So I had this really tight-knit group of colleagues and friends. We competed like crazy with each other. 0.125, 0.2 for grades. But if somebody was sick, somebody couldn't make it, somebody will deliver the notes from the class to say, hey, this is what we covered today, or we will brief you. So I think that environment on campus was absolutely pivotal for where all of my colleagues are today. Everybody. So I think I don't want to discount that the environment was there.
Yeah. No, the environment is key. And one of my mentors is Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul. And, one of the things that when I asked him, what can I do to be more successful? He said, either get into or create a mastermind.
Yes.
Who you surround yourself matters tremendously for your success.
Yes.
So, but you have had an instinctive way of being. Like you talked about that with your last name, and, talking about that with your father. And even at 22, contradicting or questioning a person of authority who holds your visa basically in his hand, and you saying, well, did you know what you wanted to be at 22? Like that was bold in that case. So having met you, I see this boldness about you, and I hear that from a very young age. And you told me that you even had this when it came to food. So you talked about the babies knowing that they're full, instinctively knowing they're full, or that they're cold, or we have all the signals. But you instinctively knew as a child to respond to those, and your parents trusted you, which again, I also think is marvelous, because the way that I was raised, children were seen and not heard more, and the adults knew best. And so I love this for you as well, and think this has really molded you into the person that you are and the impact that you're making in the world. But that really influenced. So I'm just going to say about food. that you knew instinctively not to eat fried food, is what you're telling me, that you would just ask your parents for vegetables and fruit and eat it that way. And that has influenced a big belief system that you have, because you talked to me about a story that you made 1,000 smoothies
Mhm.
in your children's school. Can you talk a bit about your passion for nutrition and how important that is, and a message that you like to carry for yourself, your family, and for others?
Yeah, so I think so. All of this goes back to, in the modern society, people go for retreats, they all kinds of things trying to connect to themselves. My point is, you don't really need to go anywhere expensive, fancy. It's right here.
Right.
It's with you. Just take some time in your house. And yes, it's nice to be in a nice place and all that stuff. But really, we human beings come equipped with being able to connect to ourselves. It's only when we start to get totally distracted, and one of the best book I read was The Unwavering Power of Focus, from Danpani, where it really talks about how our mind works. And in the mind, in the sense, our mind never moves, it's our focus. Mind is static. It's like a big house, and each room is a different emotion: angry, happy, anxious, all that stuff. So the moment we learn to focus, to say, I'm aware of your awareness, being aware of your awareness, if you can do that long enough for something you want to do, then that becomes magic,
Mm-hmm.
because then you're able to do that. So I think, good, bad, ugly, you have to listen to your instinct. Or most of my decisions, whether I did what I did at the place with the visa officer, or over the years in different countries when I'm leading large team, I am very driven by heart. I am always connecting to people at that level where I can see things and feel things. Like, I was in Argentina in 2017 leading a very large team. We had a lot of people from Venezuela in our team we had hired. I'd hired about almost 100 plus people there. We had a team of 125. And I could figure out very soon in my stay there that many of my team members didn't have the money to eat lunch, and that they were staying in one room, 5, 10 people that had just come from Venezuela, and they had a very tough life. But most of the people had no clue. Although we worked together 8, 10 hour days, and right away I started buying lunch every single day, and I got a lot of pushback from my head office in San Francisco saying, you're wasting money. I'm like, what am I wasting money? $50 to $100 a day. When you guys come to visit, one wine you drink is $2,000. And I was prepared. Like, I always do things in the way that even if they fire me for it, that's, so be it. But this is the right thing to do. So long fast forward, I was always an athlete. 2007, 2008, I lost my job. I was out for about a year and 6 days. We had a brand new house, brand new baby, no money. We were totally $0 by October of 2008, no health insurance. So the only thing we thought as a family was, we have to eat well. So we were only eating sweet potatoes, cabbage, berries, and rice and bean. That was our meal. And because I knew those are some basic stuff that gives us almost everything we need to stay healthy. And we could extend our budget further if we ate that way. And obviously we never eat out, so that was there. Then I used to go to a job search place where every Monday we would meet, and there were mostly mid to C-level folks there. And I would find people very down. Yes, we all had no job, but we still had a life. And people were very down. So one Monday I challenged everybody. I said, by next Monday, I want everybody to do something you have never done before. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a letter you have not written, a letter you have not read, a book you have not read. And I said, I am going to run 20 miles. I always run only 10. I will run 20 miles by next Monday.
Wow.
And then next Friday. So that day, right after the meeting, I took my car, I drove a 20-mile loop, and then I sat at home. I watched a couple of videos of marathons finish, And then I just meditated. I didn't go for a run. I just did my yoga meditation. And Friday morning, I ran 20 miles.
Wow.
And then I reported back Monday that this is what happened. Few days later, well, at that time, the idea came to me, if I can run 20, I can do 26.2. So I became a marathon runner that day while I was finishing. And then fast forward 6 months from then, I ran my first marathon. But in the meantime, a friend of mine, I was looking for a job in Atlanta because we had a small baby and things like that. So I told my wife, now I think situation is pretty drastic. I will go anywhere in the world other than Afghanistan and Iraq because of the war. Very next day, I get an email from my friend in Peru saying, Ravi, I have a project here. Could you come? I said, when? He goes, today. I said, of course. So I ended up going to Peru. And right that day, I went for my annual physical. And my cholesterol had gone up. And so the doctor didn't ask me anything. He wrote Lipitor and vitamin D, and he just gave it to me in a prescription. I looked at the doctor. I said, Doctor, you're not doing your job. He goes, what do you mean? I said, you didn't ask me any qualifying questions. Do I sleep enough? What do I drink? Do I eat well? Do I like what I do? Do I have friends and family? He looked at me like, which planet have you landed from? He just was like, well, it's nuts. So I tore the prescription, gave it back to him. I said, you're not doing your job. I will see you later. But it bothered me very much that I'm running 50 to 60 miles a week. I'm eating well. How come my cholesterol is so high? So that night when I landed in Lima, I went straight to the hotel at midnight. I took a white sheet of paper, drew a line in the middle, and I said, okay, what did I change in my life in the last 6 months? And nothing was coming up other than running marathons. Nothing was coming up. And then, boom, I used to never eat protein bars. But I read a lot of books on running, and they're all like protein, protein, protein. So I started eating protein bars. And I didn't know the science that I know now. So I had a whole big box of Cliff bars that I bought from Costco for my trip. Next morning, I didn't know the science. I just gave it away to someone and said, you can have it. And then I started to process of deduction. I always take a hotel with a kitchen. So I started to cook, but without even olive oil. I removed olive oil from all oils from my life, other than what I get directly from nuts. And that led to, in 6 months, my cholesterol went down from 234 to 160. And I was doing my regular exercise, Pilates and all. And I showed that result to the doctor, and the doctor said, oh, good for you. And he never asked anything. I said, I will never see you again. And that was it.
Yeah.
That led me to reading tons of books. In the process, I started speaking at school. And that's when one time I took my blender to the school
Yeah.
to talk about nutrition and health and how it is so critical for people to have stamina in life. You can have all the goals you want, but if you don't have stamina and endurance in life, how are you going to get there? So that was my intent. My kids were younger that time too, and the experience was amazing because 90% of the kids came and just drank because all the fresh thing was on the table. But there were many adults, teachers, and some kids who came and said, what do you have in this smoothie? Can I? I'm like, you are seeing everything. Do you ask the same question when you go to McDonald's or
Yeah.
any fast food? You don't ask, you just eat everything. This is healthy stuff. So that was the idea. And since then, I've been in this journey of, I know a lot of people in this space of lifestyle medicine and nutrition. And I've hopefully influenced. In one company, I gave a talk during a talent show on, I was the salad guy, was my topic.
Ah.
And I spoke about nutrition, and that led to forming a health club. And for the next year that I was there at that company, there was not a day that somebody didn't show up at my desk and said, Ravi, I brought my salad. I'm eating healthier. So to me, we all have this power to influence someone, and you don't have to beat your chest to say, look at me, how great I am. You just do something simple, nice for you, and hopefully people see that. And then people say, what do you do? Let me do this too.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have influenced thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And I know that your vision is to continue to do that on a bigger way through speaking on more and more stages. So anyone that's listening here, I'm sure in these last 45 minutes, you have been so inspired as I have listening to you. So if it's you or someone that you know, please reach out to Ravi. What's the best way for people to, I know your book's on Amazon, but what's the best way to find you? And also your TED Talk should be coming out as well, be released, I would think within a little bit on YouTube and so forth. So how can people get a hold of you?
Well, so thank you for providing that option. One, they can go to my website, which is journeywithravi.com. Again, just the word journeywithravi, one word.com. They can connect with me on LinkedIn, which is, again, there's multiple Ravi Prakash on LinkedIn. So make sure when you do Ravi Prakash, you can add author to it or keynote speaker to it. So you will find me right then and there. And if somebody really wants to reach out to me on the website, you have an option to reach out to me, set up a meeting with me, things like that. You can see my book on Amazon.com. So it's Suffer, SAFAR, Suffer, An Immigrant's Journey of Life and Leadership. That's the name of the book. Those are the three ways you can reach out to me anytime. And if you need to get in touch with me, just set up a time and we'll talk.
Amazing. I know you've got some big things on the horizon for 2026, including AI and working with some other really ambitious gentlemen as well. So I'm really excited that we've made this connection. I'll be eager to continue to watch your journey as, you've been manifesting since you were a child, but now continuing and just being in this incredible action. And, the 1 rupee, am I saying that properly? That you didn't give. I think you've given it so many times over in so many other ways. And so give yourself permission to release that and to know that you are making a really big impact for so many. And I'm really grateful that you're here today.
Thank you, Debbie. It was great. And what a coincidence, you happen to be in the crowd, which I did not know. And we connected. So this is another thing as a parting thought to people is, there is always connections in the world, and there's always something my first job came because I just happened to talk to somebody in a laundry room. And this is how it is. Anywhere you go, put yourself out. If you're sitting at home, nobody's going to find you. Put yourself out for the right reasons, not to show off that you are the greatest. Nobody's the greatest. Everybody has greatness in them. But put yourself out. You never know who will meet you where. Debbie met me. We didn't really talk there. Debbie just saw me there, and here we are talking. And now I know that we will have this relationship for the rest of our lives, one way or another. So this is important in life. This is the connections we all need to make.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you. And that is a beautiful way to segue into reminding my audience to dare to declare. Today, we've delved into the realm of manifesting giants, exploring the power of declaring our desires to the universe with unapologetic boldness. But before we bid adieu, I have a little something special to share with all of you dreamers out there. Introducing the Dare to Declare Vision Board magazine and online DIY Vision Board course, your ticket to manifesting greatness in style. Picture this. Flipping through pages filled with inspiring images, empowering quotes, and step-by-step guides to help you create the vision board of your dreams. Whether you're yearning for that spacious condo with a view or a love that sets your soul on fire, our magazine is here to guide you every step of the way. Dive deep into the art of manifesting with our exclusive online DIY vision board course. Led by manifesting expert, yes, yours truly, and seasoned dreamers. This course will teach you the ins and outs of creating a vision board that speaks to your heart and soul. So what are you waiting for? Join the ranks of the manifesting giants and dare to declare your wildest dreams to the universe. Head over to our website, DebbiSluys.com, and grab your copy of the Dare to Declare Vision Board magazine and enroll in our online DIY Vision Board course today. Until next time, keep dreaming big and daring to declare.
Because in the world of manifesting, the sky's the limit.